Hi, I'm Ned, and I make games. This video is from my live stream over on twitch.tv/NedMakesGames, where I'm live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. US Eastern Time. I'd love to see you there. Alright, oh, hey Seclusion Tower. Okay, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope you all had a great weekend. Yeah, mine was pretty good. Yeah, it was Father's Day here in the US, so I hope you all had a good Father's Day. Alright, well let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so last couple streams we've been working on this grass project, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to maybe finish it up tonight. We'll see. But basically how it works is we have this camera. This camera, and wherever it is, it will like test every pixel that it sees and then tries to spawn a blade of grass on that pixel depending on certain properties. So in the editor view, you can't actually see the grass, unfortunately. But every pixel that's white is where it has chosen to spawn a blade of grass, and you can see that it's more dense here because we have like a texture that tells the system that grass should be more likely to grow on this side. And then also it has frustum culling, which basically means that wherever the real camera is, like it won't spawn grass wherever the this camera can't see it. So if we move the camera, you can see that the grass is automatically culled from places outside the camera's view. So yeah, and last time I ended a stream, there was a bit of a bug with frustum culling. I don't know if I showed it on stream, but basically whenever you rotated the camera like this, it would bug out. And the reason that happened is because I wasn't really calculating the the dimensions of the grass blade correctly in clip space. So last time I was like calculating it in clip space and already applying the perspective transform to the blade dimensions here in the vertex function, but actually you don't ever really need to apply the perspective transform to the blade dimensions because we don't know like at what depth that blade is until we get to the vertex or the fragment function. So what I do is I just pass the blade dimensions, and then in this function where we try to see if it should cull or not. Is that correct? Oh yeah, right here. We just add the dimensions to the lower and higher bounds like this. And then this W is the like perspective factor. So instead of dividing by it, we just kind of add it to the bounds. So if the clip position is in between negative W and W, then that means that it's inside of the view frustum. So we just kind of add a little bit of padding on either side for the blade dimensions. And this way it's kind of independent of depth. I hope that makes sense. It's a little easier to see or to think about geometrically, but I don't really have a diagram handy. But yeah, when I publish it in the video, I'll be sure to explain that pretty well. But anyway, so yeah, we can do all kinds of transformations, and you can't really see grass pop in and out, even though just outside the view rectangle, the grass is being culled. You can even do, okay, well right here you can kind of see when we do Z rotations, but I wonder, I think that's actually because it was getting too close to the near clip plane. So yeah, so when we zoom out a little bit more, you can't see it anymore. You can't see the pop in. Oh, there's some right there actually, but maybe I'll have to look into that. Huh, that is kind of funny. I don't know. Okay, well, obviously maybe it has to do with when you rotate the camera view. Oh, I bet it's because when you rotate it on its side like this, the bounds are applied. Like I need to flip the X and Y dimensions probably. But that only really matters when you move around on the Z coordinate, so. Okay, I better make a note of that. Let's see, so press our fix custom culling when rotate the camera on the Z axis. Oh, hey NTT, how you doing? Glad to see you here. Okay, so, but anyway, this bug is kind of low priority because I don't really know. You don't really rotate the view camera on the Z axis very often, so. But it would be nice to fix for sure. All right. Anyway, so I think besides that little bug, frustum culling seems to be working. So the main thing I need to do now is when we move the player, or in this case the main camera, the I don't think the soil mesh is big enough to show. So let's scale it up. But like when we move the camera, eventually it will move out of bounds of the grass projecting camera. So we need to move the camera or the grass projecting camera to always like be centered on the view camera's frustum. So it always is able to draw all grass that we might want to see. So that's what I'm going to try to do now. And basically we just have to calculate the center of a frustum, which probably look up and see some math to do that. Okay, let's make this really big. Okay, well we can already kind of see the bounds of the camera, of the grass camera anyway, because when we move this, the grass doesn't, like, we can see the end of it right here, and that's just because if we move the camera over, you would start to see the grass, so it just gets out of bounds of the yeah, the grass camera. So let's make this, I guess we can leave it how it is. So let's start by checking out the C# class that handles like moving the camera to the followed anchor. What is it? Oh yeah, before I mess with everything, I actually want to commit to my what's it called? Version control. Just so that if I do something that breaks everything, we can switch back. I'm not sure if this is going to show any sensitive information, so I'm just going to put up a wall real quick. Okay, so this will be pre-Dream 3. Okay, I think it would have been fine to leave this on stream, but whatever. Okay, so we took care of that. This class, I think I'll just get rid of it because it was, yeah, we don't use this anymore, and I've moved. This was like the old class that I used to handle setting up the buffers and everything, but I moved that into the feature, so you can just get rid of it. Okay, yeah, this positioner is what I was... Oh no. Oh right. So I used to have a separate positioner and texture creator, but I combined them just so that we don't have to worry about setting so many components. So I guess I'll delete these two. Alright, so this class handles creating the render texture for the camera as well as updating the soil camera to snap to the grid whenever this follow camera moves or follow anchor moves. Is this a continuation of the grass series or is this a completely new grass spawning strategy? I assume you mean like my YouTube grass series. It's actually a new version. I spent a long time working on like the baked grass where you use like a compute shader to make a grass mesh in the editor. But I just couldn't really get a workflow that I thought was like very practical for our actual game. So I decided to switch gears to this new system. But it's going to use like the same grass shader pretty much. But that's partially why the grass series has taken so long to be continued, because I've been trying to figure out a way that both works for a wide variety of games. And also this is something that I can easily make a video about. But let's see. Okay, so what I want to do is make this follow position synchronize with the player character, basically. So this is the version to keep an eye on right now. Yeah, I think so. This is the one that I'm going to be making videos about. Probably, I hope they... Well, I really need to finish by the end of June, so they should probably start going live first or second week of July is what I'm hoping. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit. And okay, so we have the main camera, but it's not attached to anything, so I'm just going to make a player character or a player object. Okay, and I'm not going to worry about physics or anything right now. Okay, and yeah, so the camera can connect to the player. And then I'll put the follow anchor also connected to the player. Although, yeah, I think, yeah, this is going to need to be, because like I said, the camera has to cover the entire, or sorry, the grass camera has to cover the entire visible camera's frustum. So I'm going to need, like this follow anchor is what the grass soil camera snaps to. So it's going to actually need to be like projected in front of the player. Yeah, we'll have to... Oh yeah, we'll figure that out because we're gonna have to basically find a size for the grass camera so that it covers the entirety of the view camera. Right now it's a... Oh, okay. Well, it's a rectangle, but only because right now it assumes that it's going to be the same aspect ratio as the screen, which isn't true. Yeah, because when we enter the play mode, yeah, we can see the grass camera becomes a square. If I move this forward, then the grass camera matches. Okay, so we might not be so difficult. I was thinking we might have to do a bunch of fancy math, but I think just like at the very beginning of the game, we can kind of just move this follow anchor out in front of the player, and then wherever they look, it will like automatically transform in a way that the soil camera can follow it. Okay. All right, so let's make a separate our script for the player, I think. First, I guess I'll import my mouse look from my mouse look video. I'll still need to make a movement script though, but it's not like that's super difficult. Okay, so I can just add the mouse look script to this. Oh, I probably should have kept her on that prefab so I wouldn't have to guess at these accelerations. Well, it's not like it's super difficult to figure out. I think this is going to be low, but yeah, way too low. Okay, and now the acceleration I think is too small. Could also be like if I notice that even if as I increase these values, if the mouse look doesn't start like being more responsive, it's probably because the input lag period is too small. And I also want the Y to be negative just because I prefer reversed. Why does it seems like, oh okay, I was gonna say it seems like I'm also going higher when I move the mouse, but it's because I think the main camera, yeah, is still offset. I'll do, I don't know, 1.8 was actually probably good, but okay, well it's still not that sensitive. I'll just import it again. I don't want to spend time trying to figure out the values here. Okay, oh, okay, so it's super. It's like 2000. Let's just copy this component and then I'll paste it onto my player. Oh, sorry about that. Sometimes that happens when you first start the game in edit mode. Oh, hey, great Gawi. Thanks for the follow. Oh, you were the one. I've been talking to you on Discord today, I think, right? I hope your problem is doing a little better. It feels like... Oh, it's because... I was going to say that's a strange effect. I think it... Yeah, I haven't set up the camera correctly. This... Okay, so that's why you need this to be horizontal, and then you have a separate one on the camera, because otherwise when you look down, your head will bonk into the ground. You're gonna keep at it. Thanks so much for the insight. Oh, well, I'm glad I could help. Yeah, your Like I said, your situation is pretty interesting, so... Oh. Okay, yeah, so this is much better. Looks like everything is set up correctly. Yeah, we can see as you look around, I don't see any... Oh, actually I do see a little... Oh, I was pointing to the screen, but I do see a little pop-in on the left. Okay, so clearly... Oh yeah. Okay, so clearly my culling is still not working 100%. Because yeah, you can kind of see at the edges of the screen, sometimes the grass is culled when it shouldn't be. And I think it's just because the dimensions aren't perfect. Yeah, because they're always, now that I think about it, with these grass blades, since they're angled, the dimensions are, because the dimensions expect them to be straight, vertical, so yeah, that makes sense why this isn't correct. I should, well, yeah, we might have to work on that sometime, but I don't really want to do it right now, so. I think the easiest way to do that is just to like increase the leeway. Maybe do like twice dimensions. Because the one thing I don't want to do is just test every point on the blade, because if we're going to do that, there's no reason to like even try to do culling, because, well, I guess there's a slight reason, because we won't have to like, you know, add this blade to the append buffer, but if we have to test every point, that's basically the same thing as having the vertex shader of the grass, or the vertex program of the grass shader. So we're not really saving any time. We wanted to have a retro style to make things easier for your first project visually, but it ended up making stuff more complicated for yourself. Yeah, sometimes that can happen, especially with 3D stuff. A lot of, yeah, I've actually like wanted to try to like recreate like an N64 or PlayStation 1 style, but I haven't really had a chance yet, because actually, yeah, like you found out, it's not super easy to do that with modern editors, is because they have such different techniques nowadays. But okay, so let's make, do I want to just do it here? No, I think I'll make another class that will like just move the follow anchor, or maybe we don't even need a class to do it, I guess. Oop. Well, it'd be kind of nice if I had a script that would like automatically place this anchor in the correct position, and then also resize the soil camera correctly. Maybe, yeah, resize it so it'll fit the frustum. But there's like, I don't know, there's a lot of settings there, so. Classic PlayStation 1 Silent Hill lighting and dithering is something I'd love to be able to replicate. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Oh, thanks NTT. You're my first subscriber. I really appreciate that. Oh, that I forgot to say at the beginning of streams. Yeah, I uploaded some emotes, so Twitch still hasn't approved one of them, but the first one is like I tried to make it based on the Unity error message in the consoles. I thought that'd be kind of funny. And then I have the second one is, well, I want it to be like a shader error, like just a magenta, but they haven't approved that one yet. I'm kind of afraid they won't, because it's basically just a magenta square, but we'll see. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, cool. Thanks again for subscribing. I really do appreciate that. And oh, it didn't. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I thought I uploaded a subscription badge, but it's not showing up. I'll have to go check on that. Maybe they have to approve that too. I don't know. But anyway, okay. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I thought it turned out pretty well, the emote anyway. Okay. So yeah, I need to figure out, well, since I'm going to tie it so much to the camera, maybe it would be better if I just did it in this one class. So, I mean, we already have the view camera here. Okay, so let's make a class that'll just hold all these settings. So serial, system, serializable, settings, and we'll have stuff like this blades per unit area. Don't have to use the serialized field for this one. And okay, so right now for the, oops, gotta do this, add our settings object. So right now for here, I just take the already defined orthographic size for the camera to figure out the world size, but I instead want to figure out this world size to make it big enough to always like fill up the entire view camera frustum. And I have to do it in such a way that we don't rotate the soil camera, because when you rotate it, it doesn't snap to the grid correctly, so you can see movement. Okay, well, it's not working right now. Let's see, render texture description width must be greater than 0. Oh, okay, it's just because the blades per unit area was destroyed. So let me think here. Actually, yeah, and also, yeah, this mouse look is going to make it kind of hard to test for the moment, so I'll just turn it off. Oh, but I need to turn it off here as well. Okay, so kind of interesting. It seems like the culling doesn't work. Oh wait, yeah, because I don't know. Huh. Yeah, this is kind of funny because it's showing grass should spawn outside of where the soil camera actually sees. Oh, but I guess that's just because, yeah, this object, yeah, because in order to get this, the shader actually has to evaluate all the fragments for all of these triangles. So even though the camera actually doesn't see that far, it's still getting evaluated by the shader. And that's mostly because this is a single quad, which we can see. Yeah, so there's only 2 triangles in this big thing. I don't know if it's worth optimizing that, because I feel like most shaders probably won't have this big of a quad, but maybe. Let's see. Maybe add custom culling for the soil camera to fix over spawning on large triangles. Yeah, because right now it's spawning grass outside the range of the soil camera, but I don't know if that really matters that much, but oh, hey, X Squared. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're all doing good. How are things going in Texas? Not too bad. It's starting to get really hot, actually, but we had it's weird. We had a really cool, May, but the last couple weeks it's been hot. You can imagine, yeah. That's I don't know. That's probably my biggest complaint. I don't like the weather here, but you know, what can you do? Oh yeah, I bet so. Maybe not quite as humid though, I hope. Okay. So, let me see. I guess I'm just trying to think about what settings I should do here. We need to encompass the entire view camera. So maybe I don't need anything else. We will just try to spawn this many blades. So basically I need to calculate the maximum size of the view camera. But that's no, I need to do I need to have like a maximum depth, because the view camera might, the depth of the view frustum actually extends a really long way. Like here it's 1,000 units. So I need to have like some maximum depth. Otherwise, because like at a certain point, we'll stop spawning grass and it will just be some other technique to make it look like the grass continues. Okay, so we'll do that. Public float maximum depth. Okay. I guess I'll call this view depth so it makes sense. So now what I need to do is basically find the center of the frustum clipped by this depth, as well as its extents. Okay, so let's find center of frustum. Now, the frustum is basically just a trapezoid, but okay, let's see how good this is. If I have a column major matrix as a result of multiplying the projection matrix by the model view matrix, can I calculate the center point of that matrix? No, that's not right. I don't know. Kind of a weird way to phrase it, but take care. Just got home, going to shower and start cooking dinner. Okay, X Squirt. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Have a good night. And tell your family hi for me. All right. Okay, so drawn a diagram, how to calculate the bounding points of the viewing frustum. Yeah, it's like, this is the field of view angle, so you take half of that and then do tangent, and you can find these points at the far frame. Well, I guess actually isn't the center, well, the center depth. Okay, maybe this isn't so difficult because the center is actually it's this like straight line on the camera, so it's just in between the um, far and near planes, or near and far planes. So I guess the extents would be a little bit more difficult. But okay, so since our grass camera is going to be well, I guess it could be a rectangle, but it's going to be, yeah, some kind of rectangle. Then its largest size is just the largest size of the view frustum, or so the width of the view frustum. Okay, so let's, taking that into account, let's do float view frustum width, or I don't know. So this has, so this calculates the height, so I guess, well, we don't think we need the height. But anyway, so it's just 2 times the tangent times half the field of view angle. And then times the view distance, which we'll just take it at the maximum view depth. And then we need to multiply this by the inverted ratio, or aspect ratio. Okay, so that should give us the width. Okay, and then the length is basically just the camera's near clip plane minus this maximum view depth. Settings, maximum view depth minus view camera near clip. Okay, so that should give us the dimensions of the camera. For speed, I change it to be the closest power of 2. So the world size should actually change to be a float 2. Which might mess up some stuff, but... So the width of this would be... Yeah, the frustum width, and then the height is the frustum depth, I think. I guess it doesn't really matter, we can just rotate it either way, but... Okay, so... I want to get the closest power of 2. Oh, okay, so this mathf only takes a single integer. Is there a... I don't know if the new math algorithm has... Oh yeah, it has CL power of 2. Returns the smallest power of 2 greater than or equal to the input, so that's what I want. Okay, I probably don't have to cast that. Simplify it a little bit. Okay, that's it. Okay, does it not take... It takes int and unsigned integers. Oh, okay, so it only takes integer types. Okay, so I guess we do have to cast it. It's not that big a deal. Okay, so now we got the texture size. Okay, and here I'm doing cell size. So I guess one cell will be the minimum of the dimensions. So min world size x. Right, is that? Okay, no, I need to divide. Okay, so I have to divide it first and then take the minimum from that, I think. Well, okay, so I was going to say, is there any reason why the cell size should not be a square? But no, pixels are squares, so I think this should work okay. So in that case, I don't really have to take the minimum as long as I just multiply the same component, or divide by the same component for each. So I can just do world size.x divided by texture size.x. Because the pixel is the same size for the x and the y. I guess columns and rows is a better way to say it. Okay, so here it's making the texture. Oh wait, no, this isn't actually true because because we round up to this power of 2, so one side the textures might be more dense. Okay, so if that's the case, do I want to make... I probably should make the textures a square. So I should probably... Or make the pixels a square. Okay. So I need to find out Do I have an extra parentheses in there? I think so. Okay, so I need to find out, yeah, which dimension has the least dense pixels, and then like apply the same aspect ratio. And then I would extend the world size outward. Okay, so what did I just say? I need to have, or find the one that has the least dense pixels. So to do that, I need, I guess I should be calling these texels, but texels per world unit. So that's the texture size divided by the world size. And then float minimum density. Okay, no, I don't need that actually. So if texels per world unit X is less than Y. So I don't actually use the world size after this, so I don't really have to update it. So yeah, if the per world unit X is less than Y, then we'll use this version. And otherwise we'll use this version. I'm doing quite a bit of math here without testing it, so we better go and make sure everything still works. Okay, I guess we should also set the follow anchor. So it just needs to go out in the Z direction by half of this view frustum depth. Okay, so I'll just set it for now. I think in the final version we might not like override what's already set there. I'm not sure. So it'd just be view. Well, no, it's the basically it's the average here, but we'll take the view, the near plane plus half of the view frustum depth. Okay. So yeah, let's see what happens first. Okay, so the maximum view depth, let's set it something kind of close. Let's set it to, I don't know, 20. So 10 units out will be the halfway point. Okay, so render texture description width must be greater than 0. That's okay. So let's check and see how that might have happened. So that error happened here. Let's just print out a bunch of these values. Okay, so world size, texture size, and then texels per unit. And then the cell size. Yeah, this isn't as important because we can check that on the follow object itself. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the main problem is the world size. For some reason it says it's negative 138. Which is making, obviously, the closest power of 2 that's greater than that is 0, so that's why the game is complaining, and also the cell size is set to negative infinity, which is obviously not correct. So that must come from this tangent. Maybe, I mean, this might not be correct. Okay, so the far height, we actually need the, okay, well they just do the same thing. So it's 2 times the tangent. Field of view. Oh, I bet the field of view is in angles. That's probably the... Or as in, yeah, degrees. That's probably it. Let's just print it out. View, camera, field of view. So first, like, what is it actually set to? So it's 60. So it's probably gonna, yeah, Unity likes to work in degrees. Yeah, so it's set to 60. So I just need to convert it to radians. I really need to work on my typing without having to look at the keyboard. Okay. Yeah, then move that in here. Okay, so now there's no bugs, at least, or no errors, maybe a bug. Okay, so it says the world size is 12.5. Then the depth is 19.7, which makes sense because our maximum depth is 20 units, and then the near clip is 0.3. So texture size is 64 by 64, which is really small. Then pixels per unit is 5.11, and then 3.2. So it should have picked to use the pixels per unit for on the X, which, I mean on the Y, which would then be 3 divided by 64. I'll just assume that's correct because, yeah, no way that really this code can be messed up, but okay. So let's see, where is the soil camera? Okay, well that's not the correct position. Is the follow anchor? Oh, well maybe it is actually, yeah, I'm just zoomed out a lot. Yeah, so apparently this is at 10.15 units out. I guess the only thing that makes this difficult to test is that right now, like I said, the game will evaluate grass that's outside of the soil camera because it has to run the shader on this entire triangle. I wish that there was a way I could keep the debug. I could keep this, like the soil camera's object visible, or gizmo visible. Maybe if I lock it? No. I don't know, maybe I'll have to... Maybe that's another reason to get rid of, or to do culling for that camera as well, so we can actually see what's going on. Which will be really easy, because basically we'll just test if a fragment is inside of a rectangle. So I guess we can do it. Let's see. Okay, so float for soil culling rect. So yeah, if it's inside of the frustum defined by this transform or and the rectangle, it should not be culled. Let's rename this to should cull frustum, and then I'll make another one that's should cull rectangle. This one needs the... Okay, well I guess it needs world space. I was gonna say it could use like the camera screen space position, but I don't know. Oh wait, we can just use... Yeah, we can use this clip space because this one is the clip space for the culling camera. So we don't actually need this rectangle, we just need to make sure that this clip space is within 0. Yeah, 1 and -1. I kind of wish that the fragment would... Like, I don't know. I kind of wish that it would know to just not run this fragment function because it's outside the clip space, but I guess it doesn't do that. Maybe there is some way, I don't know. Let me check. Prevent fragment function from running if it is pulled. Okay, it's not showing up right away. Oh, well, there's that... Yeah, there's something called like a scissor rect. Well, I'll research that kind of stuff later. Let's just do this easy thing for now. So if... Oh, we can just return position, clip space. Oh, we're gonna have to do that. The depth transform again. So if okay, just to make this easier, I'm gonna just call it P. So return is out of bounds. And this will all just be -W and W. Oh, I think depth actually works a little different, but we'll see. Implicit truncation of vector type. Oh, this is saying... I think it wanted that to be a vector 3. Okay, well that didn't actually fix it. Oh, well maybe it just hasn't updated yet. Nope. Am I misunderstanding how it works? Let me see. So if I have that there... Oh, that's all I want to do. Okay, maybe... Okay, maybe this is just a bug. Yeah, this seems to just be a bug in the scene view. Because it doesn't happen, it's like not showing up here. Yeah, I should have tested that first. Because see, like when I move the camera in the game view, it is clipping. And I don't think, now that I think about it, I don't... Oh, you know what, I'm not even calling this function. Okay, well that was kind of silly, but it seems like, yeah, we don't really need it. It's just kind of an error in the scene view. Do I want to add it anyway just so that we can see what's going on better? Let me just see what happens. So if we should call frustum or should call rectangle position clip space. So if both are false, that just turns everything off because it's probably a math issue. Okay, well, I don't want to spend time on something I don't really need to do. So it works in the game view, which I guess is what is most important. This is like probably the biggest drawback with this grass system is just because of the way Unity handles rendering, I can't really make it work in the scene view. Which is kind of a shame because it makes it harder to test, but yeah, in the game view you can clearly see where the outline of the camera is, so okay. Let's just not worry about that for now. Alright, so what else? Well, I still don't really know if it follows the player. Okay, so that's kind of weird. I'm moving the player, but it's causing... But the player... Oh, I still have the soil camera locked. Alright. Let's restart to make sure that didn't mess up anything. Okay, so if I move the player object... Okay, well that's a little bit of a shame. I don't know... It shouldn't shimmer because it should just snap to the grid. Maybe there's something else going on. If I move the follow anchor itself... Okay, no, it does shimmer. I thought we had this working before. Well, that tells me that the... Probably... Okay, I think... Damn, this is so complicated. Yeah. It took me... I mean, I've been working on this for probably about a month, so... I mean, I can't do it full time, but still. Okay, well, let's see. So what happens on the X and the Y? Because I was thinking, well, maybe the cell size is different for on the X and Y direction, so it was mismatched, but it doesn't seem like that's the problem. Okay, so this was working until we did all this, until I redid all this math. So what is the problem? Let me increase, maybe the bug is only visible when you have a pretty low blades per unit area. So let me bump it up to 10. Okay, so it's much thicker now. So if I move the follow, okay, so it still shimmers. There's something going on. Yeah, doing Y doesn't affect it. Okay, so what's supposed to happen is the camera should only snap to multiples of the cell size, which should make it so every pixel of, or every texel that the grass is rendered is constant. Because what's happening is in the shader, different like we choose all these random values about how the grass looks based on its world position. Here I even snapped it. So in order to keep this position the same when the camera moves, I have to make sure that the pixels like always land on multiples of the cell size. So it's kind of, it seemed like, we can't tell when it's this thick, but let's move it back to pretty low. Because I want to see if you can tell that the position the grass is on changes. Okay, that's kind of funny, like every other row inches along. That feels almost like aliasing, so I wonder if it's like a float rounding problem. Yeah, it's definitely not that. And the other thing is that the grass buffer could be too small, but we have, yeah, 1,000,000. We can fit 1,000,000 grass blades, so that's not it. Is render target size? I think that is not used. Maybe that is a problem. Because we actually create the render target here. Yes, this, I think that's left over from when I was refactoring. Okay, yeah, it's not used, so I can just delete it. Okay, I was thinking maybe that was making a mismatch. Yeah, it might be. Okay, what is the cell size again? Yeah, it's like, it is a weird number. Yeah, so it might be something to do with a float rounding error. How would I go about fixing that? Okay, oh, well, this is kind of interesting. Now, maybe it's, see, also the texture is not a square, so that might also be the problem. Let's see, how does, don't know when that changed. Okay, well, that is not right, because the, because obviously the stuff behind the camera is never going to be used, so it maybe should be rotated. Hey, yes, C2 submit. How are you doing? Yeah, this, yeah, looks more correct. So, okay, I guess I need to flip the width and the height or rotate the texture like that. But if I do that, does it fix? Okay, no, it still does that weird shimmering, but doing great. How about me? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Had a nice weekend. It's nice to, I've been itching to work on this project again, so. Alright, so let me think. Why would it be rotated like that? I mean, I guess the easiest way would just be to flip the depth and the width. But wait, that doesn't make... Well, I guess it kind of does, I don't know. It doesn't really make that much difference. But I would... Yeah. To me, it seems like the... is when you look down. It still doesn't seem to be correct, but yeah, when you look down, this should be... Or the... I guess this is, yeah, this way should be the width and this way should be the height, but it seems like it's actually reversed. But it seems like it's not in the right position, because it should be something like that. Although, wait, it's probably just because it has to round up to the closest power of 2, so there's some, like, over this unused space, which I don't really think we can, improve. What's the problem you're dealing with? You want the grass to only spawn inside the viewing frustum? I already got that going. I'm trying to make it so that this, yeah, basically the secondary camera that kind of like projects the grass onto the terrain, I want it to follow like the center of the camera, so I'm just trying to get all the math Or I want it to follow the center of the view frustum. So I'm just trying to get all the math correct. So if we like rotate. So if we excuse me, rotate the player like that. Oh yeah, so this is another problem. I have to make sure that the camera, because this camera can't rotate, so I have to make sure that the dimensions fit like every orientation of the frustum. Okay, so then if that's the case, then it should just always be a square. Right, so I should have the, okay, so that kind of gets rid of this one problem. It should just be the maximum of the frustum width and the depth. Okay, so I guess we'll go back to having it all be one-dimensional. That was kind of a waste, but... Okay, so the texture size, let's go back to being an integer. Oh. Okay, I don't need to do this part anymore because now the world size is constant. Although I guess it still has to take... Well, now the texture size is a square as well, so... Yeah, so you can kind of just go back to how the code used to look. Yeah, and again, it has to be a square because the camera cannot rotate because, or the soil camera can't rotate because then the, like, it definitely wouldn't snap to the correct texels, so... So if we rotate this around... Oh, we'll keep on. Okay, this... The problem with that is it's gonna... As you rotate around... Oh. Rotate the player around... Obviously, yeah, that's another problem. But we already knew the snapping doesn't work. But another thing is that you can see here, like, the grass spawns a little farther because of like just the square, like the corners of the square. So I wonder if I should make it like only spawn inside a radius or something. I don't know if it really matters a whole lot, because I mean, ideally you wouldn't really be able to tell where the grass turns into I guess disappears. We'll have some kind of LoD or fading, but yeah, we really need to fix this shimmering problem, I think. But I don't know where I introduced it because it was working when the stream started, and now we're back to how it was a second ago. Oh, I was moving the Y. Yeah, so when I move by X, it does still do that. And it's weird because it like... Well, you can really tell when you move it this way. They kind of like step like this. I wonder, is it like skipping pixels in the texel? Let's do something like really, really small so that it will only have maybe 4 blades, and then I can count them. And so there should be 4 blades in a row, hopefully. If not, then I know that for some reason it's skipping blades, which would be a pain because I don't know why that would happen. Yeah, so grass manager, we want to set the maximum depth to like 1. Okay, well that's maybe too small. Okay, that's probably too small as well. Okay, so this is 4x4. Well, yeah, this debug view doesn't help. I can see 1, 2. I can only see 2, but so that might be the issue. But why would it hide every other one? Oops, sorry for hitting that. First off, let me get rid of... I'm going to get rid of these blocks just so I can see what's happening a little better. And also... Let's also just change this, the shader so that it just always spawns stuff. So I'll change this main texture just to be white. Yeah, and then how's the soil? It's still weird that it's like anchored. Although I guess, well, it's not really anchored, but it's just funny because, oh, you know what? Okay, I think I've just made a silly mistake. I'm setting like this stuff, but I'm not updating the soil camera's like orthographic size to match. Yeah, that's got to be the problem. Okay, so to do that, so the orthographic size is just half the world size. Okay, I feel silly now, but yeah, so that's why the soil camera was always so big, because it wasn't being updated. Okay, so orthographic size is this world size divided by 2, and yeah, this is the dimensions, or technically it's the height for a orthographic camera, but since our texture is going to be a square, it's both dimensions. Okay, so the reason that that was the problem was because the well, it's probably not correct either, but because the cell size wasn't matching, like the texel size we were computing wasn't matching the actual texel size on the render target. So anyway, let's set this back to, I don't know, more sane values, and then we can see if it makes sense. Okay, so if I move the follow anchor, hopefully... Okay, thank goodness, no shimmering. Okay, well, I spent all that time on something that was relatively silly, but oh well. It happens. Yeah, this is really thick grass as well. Still pretty good frame rate. I'm pretty happy with the performance of this system. I was worried that it wouldn't run too well, but it actually is still pretty good. Yeah, don't judge myself. Thanks, SC2. Yeah, I know. It's annoying when it feels like you waste time because of silly bugs like that, but yeah, they just happen. All right, so one bug squashed. Always feels good. What is next? So I guess I need to move the player around and then watch that the soil camera updates correctly. Let's just do... Let's, I guess, rotate and see how that looks. Okay, so it still looks pretty good. Like I said before, you can kind of see this point where the grass camera, like the point of the grass camera is. If that's really a problem, I can, what's it called? I can cull based on like a radius, but it is kind of interesting. You can see that the soil camera is moving with the visible camera because you can see the point there and it's rotating around. So I think this math is relatively correct. Okay, so let's try and increase the view depth to something like, I don't know, 100 and see how. Okay, well now we're starting to run out of buffer size, which means we have more than 1,000,000 blades. How fast is it running now? So it's okay, it's still pretty good frames per second, and even OBS is running. You can see the edge of the grass tile as you rotate to the left. Should maybe give a small padding. Oh yeah, yeah, I need to fix that frustum culling, for sure. Yeah, well, this is hard to test because, yeah, this is happening because we're running out of buffer space. Which means, like I said, we're spawning more than 1,000,000 grass blades, which... Okay, I think... So a lot of them are probably being spawned for beyond... Oh, that wouldn't make any sense. I was gonna say, like, for beyond this texture, but no, that wouldn't happen. Okay, that must be the edge of a triangle. It's always kind of fun to see these bugs, but... Okay, yeah, there must just be 1,000,000 grass blades on the edge of the rectangle right there. Yeah, you should have a limited radius for LoD 0. Anything behind that you should use imposters, so it's not like you need 1,000,000 blades. Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna get into or add a LoD system soon, but I'm just kind of trying to test the boundaries of the system. So it seems like it kind of works, but yeah, it's too many blades. Let's move the density down. Okay, so this way. Okay, so here, yeah, you can see some pop in at the side again. Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like my frustum culling doesn't work 100%, but okay, so you can see, yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that like the edges of the world or something don't pop in and out because the grass camera isn't positioned correctly, but it looks good. You get a chance to review the code you moved in not really quick. Oh yeah, I mean you could take a look, but I'm pretty sure, I think I'm happy with it for the moment. Let's see. So next up, I mean, we have this frustum thing, but I kind of don't really... Well, I think we just need to add, like, yeah, frustum culling. Oh, yeah, so that was another thing. Okay, so the big thing we need to add is level of detail, actually. So maybe we can work on that next. So frustum culling, rotate the camera on the z-axis, and also... then culling, add, I don't know, like a leeway on the sides. Close that up. Okay. That wouldn't be too difficult to do. But yeah, that's mostly, that's just a fine-tuning thing. Yeah, so the LoD I think is the next big thing we need to work on. So kind of want to get rid of or finish up most of the big sections of the project first, and then we can go back and fix these smaller things. So what I'm thinking for LoD is, again, we'll do it in the shader for like the grass soil, and it will basically, if it's a certain distance from the view center, then it will basically, a good strategy I saw was you will kind of, I guess we'll have to increase the cell size, and then also you can like increase the grass width to kind of hide gaps, and when it's far away you can't really tell. So we can try that, but so increasing the cell size, that I'm afraid that might, well, it might cause some pop-in, but I mean it's going to be far from the camera, so hopefully it won't be too noticeable. We could have it fade in somehow, either scaling up or transparency. But I guess that would happen in the grass graphic shader. But okay, so let me think. We need to basically have like a view center variable here. I guess, let's see, LoD origin, I think makes more sense. And then we need to have like LoD. I wonder if I should make these global or just set them based on the material. I guess they should be based on material because maybe you want some to be more dense. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll need to have like at first I was going to like make a way that you can define the boundaries for a bunch of different levels, but I think it'd be better if we just had like a, I don't know, a width, and that increases the more LoD you go out or something. The more LoD levels you go. Let's see. Radius and increase. I don't know, it's probably not the best name. And right now, okay, let's just, I want to add noise to kind of like dither the LoD boundaries, but for now we'll just have them be concentric circles and make sure that that works. And probably what I'll do is I'll have a different color for each LoD just so that we can really tell what's going on. Okay, so after we tell if it needs to clip or not, then so here we find the position. So the cell size is going to change based on the LoD. Or wait, no, that's not really what we need to do. We need to like, so basically based on the LoD, you need to skip every few grass blades. So I don't really have to increase the cell size. I just gotta skip every few blades. So in that case, we'll need float 2, I don't know, grid index. So what would that be? So That would be this. Yeah, this floor. Float 3, grid. What do I want to call this? I guess grid position. This is like the position on the grid. And then grid position. World space we round and then multiply by the cell size. And so for this grid index, we just take the floor. And we don't care about the Y. Do we care about the Y position? I guess, I don't know. Maybe. I'll just leave it in. So this is actually an integer. Oh, and okay, I was gonna do a modulo to like skip every few blades, but it doesn't like negative integers. So if it's something is negative, you can take its absolute value, but then if it's negative, you need to like add a certain number to it so that you don't have a an extra large interval at 0. Or wait, does that? I guess it depends how you do it. I think I'm overthinking things, so let's just do you are int 3 grid index. Okay, and I'm gonna have to cast this. And I guess I can also just take the absolute value. Okay, so now I need to find the LoD level, which I guess for now I'll just do it an easy way where we just divide the distance from this LoD origin by the radius. So float LoD level equals, it's a lot. Well, I guess I can just use the distance function. And I'll have to divide by the LoD radius. And okay, so and then I don't care about the fractional part for now, so I'll just floor this as well. Okay, so now, okay, this also needs to be an integer because I'm going to do a modulo. So basically, for every LoD level, we want to skip every other grid index. So we take basically 2 to the power of this LoD level. I don't know if there's bitwise shifts in shader code, so I'll just use the pow function. So int LoD skip mod equals integer pow to LoD level, and then okay. Okay, so if LoD or grid index. So yeah, so if any of the components in the grid index mod, LoD, skip mod are not 0. How do I check that? Okay, I think I'm gonna have to do each component separately. Let's see. So if grid index x 0, or so I'll do the same thing for Y. I guess I can copy and paste this. Okay, so if any of these are 0, then well, no, then we render this because we want to skip everything else. Yeah, I really need to clean up this function. It's getting... I don't like so many nested ifs, but... And then I can also move this inside, although I don't know. The shader compiler might actually probably moves texture samples out of branches because we can't do maps, but I guess I'm using LoD, so I don't know. I'll have to look at the compiler to see how it handles that. Okay, so yeah, we found the grid position and then also the LoD. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is pass the LoD level to this make sprout function, and then it can increase the dimensions. And also I'll have it apply a tint. Dimensions, so width times LoD level +1. Oh yeah, what happens when the LoD is 0? So, oh well, no, that's fine because POW, yeah, 2 to the 0 is just 1, so this should still work. Okay, so, and then I want to apply a tint. I think Unity has a cool little function that will give you a color based on a debug. Yeah, so get index color. Yeah, this is in the core URP library.debug or debug.hlsl. I have map stuff. I think we could just use get index color, and then we'll multiply this with a tint. Actually, I think I'll just not even use the tint for now. So LoD level, and I'm gonna have to include the debug library, I'm sure. All right, so let's see. Integer modulus may be much slower. Try using unsigned integers. Oh, that's true. Well, that's an easy fix. Because we take the absolute value here, so yeah, we can just transform this into unsigned integer. Yeah, so that's fine. Technically, we don't really need to cast to an unsigned integer here because we're casting it again at POW, but we can optimize that later. Okay, so now... that's strange. Oh, it's probably just because I haven't pressed play. Okay. I wanted to see if I saw anything. Obviously, it's bugged. Oh, I think the LoD radius is 0 right now. Oh, I haven't even added it to the shader. Yeah, that would be a problem. Let's get rid of that for now because I don't use it. Okay, so the shader file. Let's set it to 1. And then I need to set this LoD origin and the grass. Yeah, this camera manager. Okay. Actually, it needs to set it to wherever the player is. So I guess we'll have to have player. Or I'll just call it the LoD anchor. And yeah, so every frame, yeah, we have to upload a global vector. Which, I mean, it's fine because Unity does this. They upload many things every frame, so it's not the end of the world. Okay. So LoD origin. I should probably make this more descriptive. So soil LoD. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this would be the LoD anchor position. And I just need to set it here, and this will just be the player. Oops. Okay, so let's see what happens. Oh, okay. Well, we see something, but... Okay, so it does change colors, but why is it like rotated like that? That's kind of funny. And obviously something with the modulo is incorrect. What happens if I just rotate the player? I'm curious. Oops. Okay, so it moves to like we always axis aligned, but I don't know what is causing it to rotate like that. That's really weird. So if X, Y, or Z. Is there some weird order of operations thing? I mean, I don't think so. Modulo should be the same as any other arithmetic, but no. But I'm really worried. I mean, I'm curious about that rotation, so I'm just going to comment out this if statement for now and see what in the world is, like if that grass rotation is still happening. Okay, it looks like it is. What is the deal with that? Oh, okay. I think it's just a normal vector. Yeah, it's not a... Okay, yeah, it's no big deal, actually. Okay, but we can see the LoD. We can see the rings. But it seems like the LoD stops after that. But it might just be because the grass is green. So it's like removing or canceling out any color change. Yeah, that rotation is no big deal. It's just a normal vector. If I change this big soil to have no normal strength, I think they'd all be flat on the ground. So yeah, that was a red herring. Yeah. No big deal. But yeah, this does make it easier to see. Okay, so yeah. It seems like far away the grass is kind of flattening out, and that's because the width is increasing. I don't know if that really looks that good. But it's probably better actually if we changed out. I guess the best way to do that would be to change out the cards out there so that they're like just a texture that's has more like grass blades on them so it doesn't look so weird. Or change out the texture out there. Okay, so this modulo thing doesn't work. Right, it should be or, correct? Let's just do it based on the X component only. And get that to work. So it should, there should be stripes, and it shouldn't happen at LoD 0 either. Or let's make this easier to work with again. Well, the blades per unit area is already pretty small, so... Okay, so it's spawned 2. but it doesn't ever change. Yeah, it seems like it just spawns these 2 rows all the way down. How have I think I've got some logic wrong here. But at least... Well, we know this stuff works, because it's not any different than how it was before. Oh, yeah, I was flooring the world position when I actually wanted to floor the position on the grid. These names aren't the best, but... Okay, that doesn't seem to fix it anyway. Nothing happens when I move that around, except, yeah, when the soil camera moves. So it's obviously just spawning what's on the 0 axis. I wonder if I actually move the player object, if it would follow the player around. No. Although some stuff happens. Huh. I think it's time to take a brain break for you. That's fine, Great Gawi. Thanks a lot for coming by. Yeah, I totally understand. Have a good night. Maybe let's increase this radius. Maybe that will... Oh, I forgot to change the colors here. Let's do that so we can really tell. Yeah, you too, Great Gavi. Okay, so what I want to do... I meant to do this earlier. In the graphics shader for the grass blade, I just want the albedo to just be set to the input tint and just ignore the texture for now. That way, the color will be just that debug color, so we can see. Okay, so this is another issue. It seems like even though I changed the LoD radius, it doesn't... Oh, well, I changed it on the wrong shader, so that's why. I had to do it on the big soil. Okay. Alright, so I think it was working the whole time, it's just the LoD radius was so small you couldn't really see. But at a certain point... Well, I mean, you shouldn't really have, like, a LoD level 5. So I should probably set, like, a maximum LoD. Because when you get to these LoDs, the space between each grass blade is too small. That's funny if you get... Okay, so it actually seems to be working correctly. I just did another silly mistake. But as I rotate... Again, there's popping on the left from Frustum Culling. I'm just ignore that for now. Okay, so the problem with this strategy, I think, is that the cells are not aligned with the view. They're aligned, I guess, with the world X and Z axis. Which, I mean... I don't really think there's a better way we can do it. And also avoid pop-in. Or not pop-in, that... wiggle effect. Because if I rotated the grid with the camera, it would be really noticeable, I think. So... I mean, I guess the LoD levels are... what's the term? They are, like, circular. It's just the grid itself isn't. So there's kind of like right there, you can see a whole row pop in back there when it's... I don't really know if you want it that much. Oh, but also, okay, so this is also because I'm only doing it on the X axis right now. So maybe if I add back in these other, it'll look better. Oop. Okay. Okay. I don't like that. Oh, but I think that's just... Yeah, we need to have some kind of fade out for sure. And that's something for the graphics shader to handle, I think. Because yeah, when I move the player... Okay, well the pop-in isn't actually as bad as I thought. But you can... Is it working? Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can see... Like right here, you can see a red grass pop in and out. And that's just because that cell isn't part of the LoD 1. But it's not, I mean, right now it's obvious because we've color coded them. But this LoD 1, like I keep on thinking that it's not skipping cells because like it seems like it's just as dense as LoD 0, but I think it's just because of the way that you increase the like the dimensions of it, so it ends up looking just about as dense. But it's still, well, at least I hope it's skipping cells. You can really see the skipping. Well, you start to see it on LoD. I guess this is 3. It might be... Like, I wonder if there's a better way that I can distribute the grass blades instead of doing this thing on the grid. Because you can kind of... I was looking at the green, and... Oh, I don't know. I was gonna say I could see a gap, but... Well, you can really see it on the yellow, though, because there's like a row with a bunch of them. And then it pops in and out. So let me remove the thing that increases the dimensions. And I just want to see how it looks. Okay. So I'm watching this column, and it seems like it's not skipping blades, just everyone turns red. Like none of them are disappearing. Or there's no red blades that just pop up. And I think that's because it's just chosen this row to always display. And I don't think that's what we want. It should I think we need to offset the different columns. So maybe the best way to do it would be like to add each of the components together and then modulo that. Is that the correct way to do it? I guess let's try it. So if we can do, this is kind of fancy, we can just do grid index 1 to add everything together. Although it'd be more efficient if we just added them manually, so I'll probably do that in a second, but just to test it. Okay, so here it's saying if the sum of each component in the grid index modulo this LoD skip is 0, then it will test that cell. Okay, so yeah, you can see, yeah, on this cell or this row, you can kind of see red blades popping up, or they just appear, but it's kind of diagonal. Well, not kind of diagonal, it is diagonal, which I think looks better than having like one row that alternates and then one row that doesn't alternate. So I think this is probably the correct way to do it. Let's go back to like rotating and see how the LoD 3, that's yellow, looks as it pops in and out. Because before it was kind of weird because you could see that one row disappear really quickly. I think this is a little better. Although, yeah, I don't really know how useful it is to have that LoD, so I need to have like a maximum, but let's see. Float. Maximum LoD. And also probably like you should be able to, like each successive ring should probably get wider. But we'll have to do like a logarithm and stuff for that, so I don't really know if it's worth the computation cost. What was it? LoD maximum? Okay, backwards. So, I don't know if LoD level or LoD index, so maybe just LoD, I don't know. Okay, so I'll set this to 2 for now, because that's what looks best from what I've tested. I think anyway. And so that'll be easy to do. All I have to do is do a maximum. Oh, I guess I have to do it before I cast it. Oh, this should actually be minimum. Okay, so yeah, now the yellow LoD is gone. So those grass aren't there, it's just all been converted to the LoD level 2. Which I think is fine, because when it was that sparse, it just looked weird, I think. Okay. So now I'll add back in the LoD level +1. If I were to use this strategy in a top-down scenario, would the frustum be redundant? Oh yeah, for sure, because I think then you would just have the grass, yeah, the soil camera just follow the actual camera around. Like it could just be a child of it. You wouldn't have to worry about moving it like with this follow anchor and everything. Well, I guess you'd still have to make sure it's snapped to the grid, so it couldn't be a direct child, but yeah, I don't think you'd have to do really any culling in that case. That might be a good way to like start my tutorial. That way we can get that working and then add the culling after that. Okay, so just want to rotate this around one more time and see how it looks. Yeah, I think that increasing the dimensions I think really helps fill out the later LoDs. Let's try it with a thicker blades per unit area. Okay, it looks it's really hard to tell what's going on when it's all the LoD level, but or LoD color. But yeah, you don't see, even over here when it's skipping every 4 blades, you don't see a gap in it, which is nice. How many? Okay, so it doesn't seem like that really affected. Or actually, I think the frame rate is a little higher, but it's kind of hard to tell. It's fluctuating too much. But yeah, doing that calculation didn't bring it down, at least. So we got about 2,000 tries, about 5,000 vertices. I think that's pretty good. Wait, well, okay, yeah, that makes sense because there's 2 triangles. I was gonna say the verts seem really high, but I guess there's 2 triangles for every 4 vertices. That still seems high. I wonder why that is. I'll have to look into that. Maybe because they're not getting perfectly culled. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so I was gonna try to add like some noise to like perturb the different LoD levels, but I don't really know if I need to. I guess let's get like the actual color back and see how it looks. Should probably add like a debug keyword so I can test this R switch easier. And then here we'll just move this. Okay, so I wonder, can we tell where the LoD switch is? Well, right now it's being tinted, so that's going to make it a little bit difficult. I'm going to just get rid of this tint texture. So you can't really tell, at least I can't. But my grass texture right now is so noisy, I need to get a better one, but let's change this to something a bit more moderate. Not seeing it at all. Yeah, I don't really either. Even with just 3 blades per unit area, it's not that obvious. So maybe I don't need to add noise between the LoD levels. Although the other implementation that I'm basing this on did have it, so I assume it's visible at some point. I guess if you had a different like grass model for each LoD level, then it would probably be more obvious. So, although I guess the system doesn't really support that anyway. Is it really? Yeah, see here, like even with just 1 blade per unit area, it's really hard to see transitions, so I feel like it's not like pulling them correctly, but okay, but we can definitely see some blades pop in, and yeah, they also shrink, which is kind of, yeah, when you move. Okay, so yeah, it is culling them correctly, it's just not, it's hard to tell. Okay, well, maybe we'll add that in, but for now I think we need to focus on having like a transition effect for in this graphic shader for when you switch LODs. Oh yeah, I wanted to add a note. Let's see. add noise at transition or level transitions. Okay. So I guess it should like I was gonna say it should expand the dimensions, but I guess that doesn't have to happen here. That can actually happen in the soil texture. So well, we can do that really easily by just passing in the fractional LoD level. And then it would just multiply. Yeah, just do 1 plus the fractional LoD level, and the width will smoothly transition. Then, so the other thing is, of course, when a grass just pops into existence, and I guess at that point, we could also do that with the dimensions, where the dimensions slowly increase to, so it doesn't just like appear, it kind of like grows. Or we could also do that with alpha. Yeah, we don't really do anything with alpha because, yeah, when it's at the very last LoD level, when it's about to fade out, it should probably yeah, fade out, I guess. So do I want to add like an alpha thing here? I guess I could do it. I could put it in the tint. Okay, well, let's do the dimension thing first, because that's easy to do. So basically, we're going to need to get the float LoD level of smooth, and that's just everything inside the floor. Okay, I guess we have to apply the minimum before then. Okay. But I mean, it's fine. It's gonna end up to be the same value. Okay, so and then we'll pass this into the sprout function and just change that to a float. Let's just hard code something in. So it'll be like 1. Well, I guess let's do it completely smooth for now, because I was thinking that I probably want to make it so that it doesn't, the dimensions don't change until right before the transition, but let's just see how this works. Okay, I mean, obviously you'll still see some pop in. Yeah, the culling is especially bad over here. Oh, but that's because, yeah, the culling doesn't take into account increased dimensions. But okay, so I'm trying to find. Okay, yeah, watch this one right here because it doesn't pop in and out. And you can see it slowly getting wider. Yeah, I don't know if, I mean, now it pops out when you get that far, but I don't know if I need to add anything else. I mean, I guess you could, but it's easy to add yourself, so I might not worry about it for the tutorial. It would just be something like 1 plus floor, LoD level, plus smooth step, point 0.81 fraction LoD level, something like that. I guess we can try it. I don't know. Let's just shorten this to LoD to make this math look a little better. Smooth step. Okay, now with smooth step, I always forget because some functions you put the range first and then the percentage, and some seem to be reversed. Hopefully this will work. Oh, and this should be fraction. Okay, so again, this is adding like the whole part of the level, and then based on the fractional part of the level, we won't start transitioning until we get to like 80% of the way till the next LoD. Okay, so oh yeah, so you can. I don't like that as much because it changes kind of rapidly. So you can watch this one, that one right there. Okay, well, yeah, that one actually pops out, but watch the one behind it. Yeah, I don't know. I think the other way actually was better. But maybe it'll be doing something like, obviously this value should be editable, but I need to clean up the shader so in general, so I'm not worried too much about it. Okay, I think at 0.5 it's a little better, but I don't know. Okay. But obviously the most obvious thing is the pop in, so we need to do something about that. So basically, the shader is going to need to know if that blade will be skipped over in the next LoD, and then if it is, it needs to fade it out either with alpha or scaling the dimensions down. Probably what looks better will depend on the grass style. So, great. So I guess to do that first, let's add an alpha component to the tent. And I'm going to, while I'm thinking about it, update the structures in all the places it appears so that I won't get culling, or not culling, what's it called? I won't get a stride mismatch. And then I need to do it on the render feature. And this is just because you have to manually keep track of the size of the structure in a compute buffer. Okay. Oh, right. So yeah, the tent sample actually include an alpha, and then we'll take in some kind of fade value. Not sure. Maybe that'll be like a Boolean that says that it's going to fade out next LoD. So in order to know if we're going to fade out next LoD, basically we need to take the next LoD level, or the LoD skip mod, which is just the current LoD skip mod times 2, and do another modulo. So yeah, this method looks much better, so I'm going to get rid of that. So uint grid LoD ID is like, we just add these together. X plus grid index Y plus grid index Z. And okay, so cool. Okay, well, we can just leave this, and then yeah, we don't need to know this until the next part anyway. So fade. Actually, yeah, we don't need to know this all the way until here. So fade R hold next LoD, and this will just be, change that, modulo kip mod times 2 is 0, or is not 0. Yeah, so yeah, if it's hold the next LoD, then that means it's not 0. And then I guess we can pass that into there. Hold next LoD. Alright, so if it's called the next LoD, like I said, we can either scale down the dimensions or scale down the alpha. Let's do and then float LoD frac. Okay, because I think we're gonna have to use these, at least the fractional part, a bit. Okay, so we can do like another smooth step for the yeah, if it's gonna be cold next LoD, we don't really want to scale up. So I guess I'm gonna have to do a branch. Well, we're already doing tons of branches in this shader, so I guess that's okay. Let's do something like float to base dimensions equals. We already calculated that, kinda. So let's leave it up here. Dimensions equals float to width, height. Okay, and then F hold next LoD. Then the base dimensions will shrink down. Okay, well, we still apply the current LoD level to this. So, large level, oh wait. Base dimensions dot width, or no, not X. We add the current LoD level, because that, yeah, they're wider, but then we're gonna shrink the entire thing based on the LoD fraction. We can try and do a smooth step thing as well. Otherwise, we'll take this part. Oh yeah, it's actually 1 plus LoD level. Don't like having it on a separate line. I guess it's not the base dimensions anymore, it's just the dimensions. Let's clean this up, because I can actually just add the 1 plus the current LoD into here, so it's a little cleaner. Okay, so if it's going to be cold next time, then we multiply it by this LoD fraction. If it's not going to be cold, then we multiply the width. Oh wait. Okay, so this actually, yeah, because we have to add it onto this term, so it's actually is different. So x times equals that, and then dimensions dot x. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's just try it with the dimensions, and we can try alpha next. All right, so what should happen is certain grass blades should shrink as they're going to be culled. And no, that doesn't happen. Okay, they're still growing, though. But they're not shrinking based on they're going to get culled on the next LoD. Okay, let's try another test here. So sprout dot tint equals culled next frame, or not frame, culled next LoD. If true, we'll set it to black, otherwise it'll just be white. Although yeah, I don't want to give it a a 0 alpha, so 3. Oh wait, that was flip 4, and then we just always set alpha to 1 and comment that next line out. And correct number of arguments. Okay, it's not going to let me do that, I guess. That's fine. Float 3, 0. Am I missing something? Okay, no, it is. I guess when you use a ternary operator like that, it has to be really specific. Okay, so these are saying it's going to be culled next. Let's see if it's actually true. Oh, I guess we have to zoom out. Yeah, so that one, so the black ones do get culled when they move on to the next. Although, let me watch it. Yeah, they still grow as they approach the next one. So I think my branch is wrong. So if, oh right, because the load fraction increases, so I need to do 1 minus. Okay, it's still popping in, but well, no, it's still growing because it should shrink. Because okay, I left this here. Okay, that's kind of silly of me. Yeah, I can just multiply that, right? And then this I just need to set the dimensions here. Okay, yeah, I was just overriding all that math I was doing. Okay, so now okay, I can see, yeah, they are growing, but it's too slow. Yeah, so you can watch right there. That one grows as I get closer, but it's too gradual. So I need to obviously do some kind of smooth step. Let's try smooth step. I guess let's just try 0.8 to 1. And I think this is going to... Oh. Yeah, I think some styles this might look good, but I think a lot of times doing changing the dimensions like this is going to, it's not going to be popped in, but it's going to be really noticeable. Like you can see that growing in. It probably wouldn't be noticeable if the game was, I mean, if I had more dense grass. I don't know. I guess it'll be noticeable with alpha too, so. But. Okay, so it looks pretty good. I guess, looking at the other LODs, I'm seeing that the black ones are going to be culled, and I'm just looking at them, and there's not a whole lot. So I wonder if I'm not culling aggressively, maybe, or culling aggressively enough. But well, I guess every time the level goes up, it should half the number of blades. So maybe, I mean, I could increase that by letting you define this number, I guess. So every LoD level you'd get every 3 blades. Let me just try that real quick. I'm kind of curious. Yeah, it doesn't... The grid is a lot more obvious with this one. And I think it's actually has to do with the fact that we're using a 3D grid. So maybe 4 would look better. Or, I don't know, maybe I'm inventing a problem that doesn't really exist, but... okay. No, 4 is not good either. 2 looked good, so I'll leave it. I mean, yeah, there's different ways that you can calculate like different LOD levels, so I'm sure people can find what works best for their game. Yeah, I'm just looking. There's still, I mean, it doesn't look bad, but there might be a better way to choose which blades get culled due to LOD. But yeah, I mean, right now, I guess I'm just trying to work on transitions, and so this looks good at least. Okay, so we got dimensions down. Let's try alpha. I kind of like this test mode, so I'll leave it for now. But okay, so the alpha float alpha equals int sample dot a, and then if hold next LOD, then we'll want to shrink this basically with the same math. And I guess I'll turn off that for now, so we can just test the alpha. Oh, I didn't actually set this value in the structure. Is it working? Oh, okay. It's because it is working, but we're using alpha clipping, so it doesn't technically work with our system. Because, yeah, it's just adding backend pop-in. Well, it's not exactly clipping, but it's doing like, yeah, alpha to coverage. It's kind of like clipping with automatic dithering. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see it, but as they pop out, you can kind of see it dithering. So, I mean, it technically does work. It just doesn't look very good with our specific system. But anyway, so we have an option for that. Maybe, okay, let's add, I can add some keywords. For that, let me add a note. Maybe find better way to choose grid ID, or I guess LoD culling ID. Okay, so let's I think that our system is basically fully featured. I've got LoD. There's still some bugs, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Most of the bugs have to do with frustum culling, which I think I can fix by just increasing like a tolerance. Because yeah, these if you see on this side, they get culled too quickly, and on the right side or the left side, they get culled too late. So it is interesting. It seems to change based on the angle. So I don't know. There might be some more math problems, but I'll look into that more. It might also just be because of our grass grid. Okay, so let's get rid of this pest thing and get the actual tint. So I need to add this alpha. Float 3. Okay, yeah, then I can just pass in the alpha. Oh, yeah, this should be a float 4. And okay, so now let's clean up this shader. I mean, the vertex function is fine. Mostly what I need to change is like this function is really messy. And I kind of want to separate all of the stuff that has to do with making the grass sprout into its own file so that I can make another shader that uses it, that we'll use to kind of work with Unity terrain, because the problem with Unity terrain is it's really hard to write custom shaders for, especially in URP. So I'm going to get around that basically by making another shader that will like artificially place grass blades on top of it if the shader is like below a certain part in the terrain. But we can deal with that later. But in order to do that, I need to get all of this logic and most of this logic into another file that they can both share. So let's add, let's see, projected grass. Okay, that's fine for now. Get rid of all that. Okay, so you always start these off with a check to make sure that this file has not been included in the shader already. And that's just because HLSL isn't smart enough to know if a file is included twice. So if you don't do this, it'll start telling you like you're defining a function twice or something, because it's in the the shader twice if it's included twice. I hope that makes sense. And but if you wrap it in this basically means if this keyword is defined or not defined, then it'll run what's inside. But if it is defined, it will skip it. So the first time you enter this block, you go ahead and define it, so that make sure that's not included twice. So first thing we can do, I want to try to move as much of this function and all of its supporting code into that file. So all this stuff. And this will actually include my random helper file, which just has it's the white noise file that I used in my other tutorial by Freya. Or wait, no, it's by Rania, sorry. Totally Rania on Twitter. Okay. Oh yeah, I need to do assets. HLSL includes. Okay, did I do that right? Yeah. Okay, so this stuff is fine. This function is really big, but I don't really think there's an easy way to separate it. Maybe. Let's see, so this stuff. Does it even. Oh, it needs to get the tangent to world space there. I guess I could have like a separate get dimensions file. Maybe I'll do that. And we can move all this. Oh, not file, function. So flip 2, get route dimensions. So this will need the world space position to calculate the random values. And then it needs the LoD. And then it also needs the Boolean if it's called. So this is good. This is fine. Technically, we're going to be calculating this stuff twice, but for the tutorial, for tutorials, I usually don't mind about optimizing that strictly. Okay, so that's fine. Here, I want to do a define probably, so you can turn on and off this dimension or dimension smoothing. Let's see, so if grass LOD dimension smoothing, if this is defined, then we'll do this part. Oh wait, I did that wrong. It should be if def. So the same thing is if this keyword is defined, then we'll handle it. Okay, and while I'm working on this, I'm going to go ahead and update the shader so that I don't have to worry about, you know, including all those are trying to search down everything I've added. So let's see. Yeah, I want this file. And then yeah, all this stuff I should also probably just... Maybe not the textures because this... because everything might not have the textures. I feel like that's something that should be maybe... depend on the material. Let me, if that's the case. Okay, well, yeah, we'll have to, I want certain things to be able to be changed by, or controlled by the material, and certain things to just be, um, um, like constant in this file, so it's easy for ease of use. This blade width and blade height. I could just include the shader variable here, but then, like, say if I wanted to make this blade width and height. Oh yeah, also we need the control sample. Okay, I think a better way to do this. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's see here. So float for dimension, range, and then yeah, so then LoD and then cold next LoD. I don't know. I'm probably like overthinking this. If I do it this way, I could just use something like interpolate, dimension, range, X, Y, and then rand. And so that way the material gets to decide how the dimension range is controlled. And then yeah, you could just multiply the control sample and other code. So that's fine. So I guess then this make sprout would actually get the, it would just have the dimensions passed to it. Which I guess is fine, but yeah, I'm trying to decide like how much I want to make this like an API and how much I just want to make it run. Maybe I'm doing this the wrong way, because I should probably like see the differences between this and that terrain shader, because those are the two I'm going to make for my tutorial, and then just see like how they would work instead of trying to make like a one size fits all thing, because that's not really about, or what the tutorial is about. Although I guess that would be easier for people to reuse, so I don't know. Okay, so basically the terrain shader is going to do this. I think it's going to have pretty much everything in common, except instead of a normal map, it will have a height map. And then we'll use that to calculate yeah, we'll use the height map to calculate like the Y position of sprouts. And then also the normal will be based on like, we'll have to do a partial derivative and take cross product instead of just using a normal map for that. Although, I don't know, maybe people want both, I'm not sure. So if that's true, then basically everything will be the same. Except how we calculate the normal. But before I get into that, let's see. I think I searched this before. Custom terrain shader. I don't think it's easy to do. I mean, it's possible. Yeah, because you can't use shader graph. Because yeah, it has... The problem is it has all these layers and it blends between them. Although, yeah, you really wouldn't want to use the terrain for this because it's going to have a bunch of extra stuff. And for this, you really want to just have like a separate, or like you only want to have geometry where there's actually going to be grass. So I think this way is probably better. I guess the only downside is when you're like working with terrain, you can't really paint this grass on it, but I think if you were going to do that, there's well, I'm planning to do another tutorial about that exact topic, but okay. I'm just trying to decide like what my next step should be. Should I guess let's go ahead and clean up this code and then not worrying about making it so easy to use. And then when that happens, I can see like what actually needs to be different between the shaders. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of erase that, what I just did, but be easier to start fresh, I think. Okay, and then we'll also take this stuff. Okay, now we do know the way the textures are handled will be different, so we won't do that. Okay, so let's. But I do want to clean up this file by shrinking it a little bit. So we'll do get grass dimensions, and yeah, this will just take position, world space. Put 3 normal. Oh no, it doesn't need normal. It needs the control sample. And then it needs the LoD and hold next LoD. And yeah, then we can take all this stuff. Oh, not the alphabet. Alright. So yeah, these will be defined up here, so I don't have to do anything about that. I still do want to add that keyword though. So if def grass LOD dimensions smoothing. Okay, so this part in the shader we can add a toggle for this, which kind of nice. You can just toggle and then give it the name excuse me, the name of the keyword, and then you just have to give it, I don't know, you have to give it like some dummy value here. LOD dimensions smoothing, and then LOD dimensions smoothing, and I think it has to be a float if I remember right. So it's 0 if it's off, and then it will be 1 if it's on. And when you do that, on the material, we should see, yeah, a toggle button right there. The other thing you have to do is you have to tell the shader that you want it to have a version with this keyword turned on. So you have to go, I think it's pragma shader feature and this tells it to compile a version of the shader with and without this keyword. Yeah, that worked. You do have to be careful. If you add too many keywords, your shader is going to take forever to compile, but I think this is worth it because I could see some games wanting to have this turned off. So, okay, so now that's all taken care of, so I can delete all of this and just here where we get dimensions, I can just call get grass dimensions and pass in all that data it needs. Okay, so similarly, we can get rid of this alpha part. Get grass hint float for tint sample float LoD bool cold next LoD, and then I could just get this part and this part. Okay, I guess I'll move these. Oh no, it doesn't have that data. Oh no, it does. I was gonna say I'll just move these test things in here, but okay, so I should also add another keyword here, I think. So if def grass LOD alpha smoothing. Okay, and we'll add another add another keyword here. Okay, and then also I guess while I'm working on it, I should make these values editable. So float LOD dimensions smooth start, and I'll do the same thing for alpha. Oh. Yeah, right here. And then for alpha, it's right there. Okay, so now we gotta make this editable in the shader. Okay, so this isn't a toggle. Okay, I'll just do that because otherwise I don't think it'll fit. Okay. So, oh yeah, and then, okay, I already did that. So really the only other thing in here that is kind of messy is this bit, but I think there's not really a reason to put this in a separate file because it's kind of, well, I mean, I guess we could do a get sprout matrix, I don't know. Get grass tangent to world. Okay, so this also needs the world space position as well as the normal. And then it needs, okay, so twist rotation is just random, so. that and this. Okay, so return and then sprout. Okay. Forget what it's called now. Oh, speaking about that, I should. This structure should probably also. Both of these actually. And this stuff should all be included in the include file. Okay, so what was I doing? Oh yeah, I wanted to get the name of the tangent to world. Equals get grass tangent to world, and then we just pass the position and then normal. Oop. Okay, so that cleaned this up a lot. Okay, so now this function is even more of a monster. Okay, so should call Frustum I already moved out. I guess I can have a separate like get LoD information. I don't really know if that would is to calculate all this LoD information. So calculate grass LoD. Maybe just to make things simpler on myself, I'll just output, excuse me, I'll output the LoD level, whether it should be called this frame, and then whether it will be called next frame. It's technically, we're going to do a little extra work because we don't really have to do this if it's going to be called, but it'll be fine. I mean, the compiler might even optimize it. So for this, we need the grid position, and then also, oh, we do need the world position, right? Because we have to, wait, is this correct? Actually, this LoD level, yeah, I think this was a bug. I think it wasn't super noticeable, but it should actually use the snapped position. 3, snapped position world space, and then we need, okay, that's it. So then, but we output the LoD level. Okay, yeah, here we call it LoD level smooth, but and then out bool called this LoD, and then out bool called next LoD. Also, I just realized this doesn't like respect this, like when the camera is gonna fade away. We should have like some kind of, we should also do some kind of fading, like when the camera is gonna like, or when a grass blade is gonna move out of range of the camera. It's not super easy to do, but transitions when grass exits soil camera LoD, or not LoD, view. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, that would be based on like the culling position, I think, but I don't know. I don't know if it'll be super noticeable because it's gonna be so far, but maybe. Anyway, so I'll take this. So I have the grid index. I need to change this. Actually, this floor might not be needed now that I think about it. I think it automatically is applied when you cast to an int, but okay, so anyway, this I don't have to have the type because it's an output. And so the called this LoD is this. And then called next LoD is this. Alright. Okay, so we can get rid of all that code, as well as this part. Okay, so next is, yeah, so sampling. So it's going to just see if the sample texture, or the density texture is going to let grass spawn. Oh, yeah, and actually I'm 5 minutes over, but so yeah, we're almost done cleaning up. I just got to do one function that'll be like, should grass spawn, because of density, and then I've got to, yeah, clean up this normal calculation. Here we get the hint sample and the normal map. which won't be at all in the terrain shader, so that will be it won't be included in this file. And then I'll probably do something to get this growth direction, because it's combining the normal with up, but and then yeah, this last part to append to the buffers. Okay, but yeah, it's much cleaner this way, so. But yeah, I've got to sign off for the night. So next stream will probably be, we probably won't continue this. It will probably be preparing for this week's video or next week's video, which I don't know is what it's going to be yet because my patrons are still voting on it. But so we'll see about that, and then, but yeah, we'll definitely continue with this on Friday. But I probably will have done some work until then, so we might pick up at a different place, but because I'd like to finish this week, but that might be kind of difficult because I've got to finish up all this cleanup and then do the terrain shader and then like do testing and make a showcase, but yeah, we'll see. I need to finish this by the end of the month, so if I'm really behind, I might have to skip a video next week, but I really don't want to do that. But anyway, that's inside baseball, so. Oh, I'm glad NTT. I'm glad you're excited. I'm really excited as well to get back to grass. I feel like it's been missing from the channel for quite a long time. So, what's wrong? Oh, it's just saying I think some of the stuff was doubly defined, but anyway, I'll see you all on Wednesday. Thanks everybody for coming by and watching, and thanks again NTT for subscribing. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, I hope you all have a good night. Yeah, good night NTT, and oh yeah, I guess it's my little outro. I'll have links in the chat if you enjoyed the stream and you'd like to follow me on social medias. I'm trying to be pretty active on Discord, especially, and YouTube, and I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, as well as my YouTube channel will have a video every week at noon Eastern. So, but yeah, that's it, and I'll see you Wednesday. Have a great night. Bye bye.